Hello, everyone. I played 3 games yesterday, and fortunately, I forgot to record the audio, which was a killer. I ended up playing 3 games against much higher rated opponents. I think I played pretty well overall. As a spoiler, I lost this first game, but I ended up winning the next two, and I think the next 2 games were the best that I can show. But anyway, I'm starting the evening off on this round here. Didn't know where I was. I kept coming back to this poll, trying to figure out where I had seen that. Nothing was really ringing a bell. Wasn't too sure. Overall, landscape-wise, I thought it looked kind of Mediterranean. I decided to just center plonk in Turkey, thinking it might be in that area. The other player went in Mexico, ended up being in Peru. So both of us were way wrong. I took a little bit of damage there to start off here, but able to get through the round, without getting too destroyed. This round here, knew right away I was in India. I had seen this truck meta before on this tilted camera. I just couldn't remember exactly where I saw it. I thought maybe it could have been Rajasthan. And started looking around for more clues. Landscape-wise, it didn't look like it would be Rajasthan. Nothing was really coming to mind, so I figured I didn't know where I was. Let's just go kind of more in the middle of the north here. The other player went into the northeast and was much closer again, so taking some damage there. Not too bad though. I think all things considered was an all right guess to get me through round two. This round here, right away, I'm thinking U.S. Canada. I didn't really know which of the two, but looking around, I decided this ought to be somewhere in the U.S. I wasn't sure. We see landscapes like this on Google Maps in Canada quite as much. But it was definitely yelling U.S. a lot more. So it reminded me. I'm originally from that northeastern Pennsylvania area. I felt like this could be anywhere in the countryside in northeastern Pennsylvania. Without any more clues, I didn't really know where I was. So I decided to go there. The other player goes not far away in upstate New York, and it actually ended up being in the middle of Tennessee. So both of us were way wrong again, but I'm able to do a little bit of damage to this opponent. This round here, actually, both of us took quite some time trying to figure out exactly where we were. Something was confusing about it. I thought Latin America. I go over here. I see what I think is Spanish. It solidifies I'm at least in a Spanish-speaking country. My initial gut reaction was this might be Ecuador, but again, I wasn't really entirely sure, and I think at the last minute I fall onto that yellow road line. I'm thinking Ecuador here, and then the yellow road line. I said, maybe this is like the way south of Mexico, something I've never seen before. The other player goes in Colombia, actually ended up being in Ecuador, so it was a blunder on my end. Should have just went Ecuador, but I took a massive chunk of damage here. Getting into round, this is five, and this round again, we both took quite some time. I see this huge truck blur, but really had trouble placing myself on this round. I mean, the entire time I was thinking this probably should be someplace in Africa, but the landscape with the mountains in the back, this big truck blur that I wasn't really too familiar with, I didn't know where. At first, I'm thinking this might be a weird Nigeria. I didn't really like Nigeria there. I started considering Senegal with the blur, but this doesn't really look like Senegal. I think end up here. I think I plonk Eswatini. Yeah, so I go Eswatini here, thinking, okay, maybe. I knew it wasn't right. I didn't consider Kenya. It actually ended up being Kenya. So this wasn't the best game that I played. I got knocked out there on a big one. Just kind of got tied up on this round here. So I start my evening in a hole. I'm 0-1 right now. I dropped down under 900 elo. But I wasn't really feeling too concerned. I think there was a lot of very difficult rounds in that game. So getting into the second duel here, I get another opponent that's about 100 points higher than me on the elo that had been winning quite a bit of games previously. Actually, don't start this one off really well at all. I see here this very blinding white road and some kind of forested coverage. I think that might be that part of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. Didn't feel too strong about it. I see a blue car. I didn't know if I should go like Europe, and I kind of my first initial reaction was Mexico. The other player goes over there, and I think Croatia. It was Bulgaria. So I take a gigantic chunk of damage here to start this game. So again, I was remaining calm. I felt like it's still anybody's game. I was still seeing the game well previously. I've been studying a lot. So we get into this round. This one took a lot of time, and I think both of us were kind of trying to figure out the same thing. So I'm looking at that poll and I said, that looks very, very Mexican to me. But then I see those tuk-tuks, those auto rickshaws in the background. I know I've seen them in Peru. The other player also does the same, and then it actually ended up being in Mexico there. So the poll was the right meta to pay attention to there. But both of us were confused. I think the sun was more kind of in the north, so we both went Peru. This one here, landscape wise, I was thinking at first it was the Philippines. I see here that something that looks like Thai. We do have the concrete roads. So I was trying to look at these polls to make sure that I wasn't seeing anything and end up being like Cambodia or something. So I see the polls. I see the holes going all the way to the bottom. I get the confirmation on the language one more time. I go ahead, I plonk Thailand. The other player also plonks Thailand, ended up being Thailand to the east, so I'm able to knock off some damage here. Knock off some health, I should say. Okay, we got another nondescript, just rural area. So I see this blue car. I zoom in, I think at some point, and I confirm that this ought to be Europe. That house looked European. Very, very flat landscape. I zoom in on this pole. I think what I see is the holy pole, like the Polish holy pole. I considered this. I mean, this could be Poland. I said, why not? Why can't this be Poland based on that? So I plonk Poland, all things considered. The other player goes in the south of France, and it ends up being just outside of Paris there. So I'm again taking another massive chunk of damage. So I'm kind of skirting on the fumes here. The other player is in very, very good command of the game. So now I get into this round here. I'm thinking that this is definitely the U.S. It reminds me of the U.S. East Coast. I see that car over there. I did not see a front license plate. I placed myself kind of more to the southeast of the country. I think I decide northeastern Tennessee here, kind of closer to the Appalachians. I mean, I feel like we ought to see a landscape like this. Mostly deciduous trees. I didn't want to place myself out west. Again, just checking. There's no license plate on the front of that car. I'm thinking again. I'm in the south. The other player goes in Minnesota. Actually, ended up being not too far away from where I was in West Virginia, so I'm able to do a nice, meaningful chunk of damage here to this opponent for the first time of the game. So I still have to play really well. This round was actually pretty crazy. I had no idea what to think of this. So we saw that car right there with the yellow license plate. If you look around, I mean, there's like cactuses, there's palms. Um, I had no clue. The sun was, not really giving any hints. It was kind of like due west. Could have been northern hemisphere. Could have been southern hemisphere. Looking around at the houses, I mean, I've never seen anything like this before. I couldn't tell where I was. I think I decide, it might be Africa, maybe Cape Town, South Africa. The other player goes up in Israel with that yellow license plate. It ends up being in the middle of Namibia. Never would have thought I'd seen something like that before, but I hedged my guess correctly there. I ended up knocking that player out of the game on a huge chunk of damage on the multiplier there. So I'm able to get the victory of the night. Bumps me back up over 900 into 7th place at a 916. I think that's kind of right around my highest elo. Getting to the last game here, ends up being much higher rated player again. 981, kind of pushing that 1000 elo. So I come in here, I see the Nigerian follow car. I wasn't familiar with this actual car meta right here. So I just do what I always do when I don't know. I just go right in the middle of the country, hope for the best. The other player goes much further south and had a better idea of that car meta, so I'm able to start this game with 700 points taken off. Getting into round two, again, very just nondescript landscape, flat. I zoom in here. I see that blue square on the car, confirms I'm in Europe. At least I should be in Europe. So I'm looking around, just trying to get a clue on anything. I don't know what kind of crop that is. I mean, where do you even go on this, right? So I think I consider Poland. I say again, why not? Why wouldn't this be Poland? The other player does Poland, and it actually ended up being, I think, the southeast of Hungary. Yeah, a very odd place in Hungary there. So not too bad, able to do some damage. This round was getting South America, Latin America vibes the entire time. I think both of us had taken quite a bit of time to figure this one out. I see this black square on the pole. I thought maybe I had recognized that previously. Wasn't entirely sure. Looking around though, I wasn't really getting any clue jumping out at me to confirm like where I was. These cars kind of look more, I would say, like American. I just plonk Ecuador, thinking it should probably be Ecuador. The other player goes exactly in the same place as me. So that was pretty much like a break-even round. Just gets us through it. Going into round four here. Zoom in. I see a Chechen Slovakian bollard. I decide that this is a much more flatter of a landscape. I decide to go in Czechia. So I find what I think is a flat part of Czechia. The other player goes further south, and it was actually over in the western part of the country there. So I'm able to do a little bit of damage. Okay, getting into the multipliers here. I feel like I'm in Africa. I see these people wearing clothes that I would consider to be worn by more like traditionally Muslim practitioners, culturally speaking. So I go into the north of Nigeria. I know that there's more Muslim population in the north. End up getting it almost spot on. I mean, I was like right in the backyard of where that was. Almost had the road exactly. So I'm able to do some damage here in round five. Get into just another rolling countryside, Gen 4 coverage, blue car. I'm thinking I'm in Europe the entire time. I see that blue square again, confirms I'm in Europe. So these rolling green hills. I see these white houses. I didn't think this looked like Ireland to me. So I think I decided, why not France? I mean, this could be France. The other player goes in Poland. Actually ended up being Denmark. So that's going to be a nice chunk of damage taken off of me. They were just a lot closer on the Poland guess, but we were both way wrong. This one, I see this huge blur. I started looking around, wanted to get a vibe. I'm feeling Latin America. I see the Spanish. I think know for sure. I'm in Latin America. Everything about this is Latin America. I kind of did get stuck on it, though. I was trying to figure out where I was. I was looking for some kind of confirming piece of evidence. I think eventually I come back and I see this blur, and it hits me. I'm like, oh, well, that's probably the Panamanian truck that's just blurred out. So I realized it. I go Panama. And the other player also went Panama, and I was much closer. So 800 points of damage. So battling neck and neck here. Getting into this round here, I had no idea really where I could place myself. I mean, it looked very dry, looked Mediterranean. I saw those trees at the beginning of this. I panned back to it. I said, that maybe looks like an olive tree, which didn't really help that much because, I mean, that could put us anywhere in the Mediterranean. I mean, this could be Spain, Turkey, Greece. Felt like it was pretty flat, and I said I didn't have too much time here. I just double check. I think it's an olive tree. I know one place that has olive trees that might be kind of flatter, and I go Spain. So I plonk my pin in Spain. The other player goes in Brazil, which is an interesting guess. It ended up being the southeast of Italy. Able to do a massive chunk of damage there. I beat that player again. That was, I think, a 981. And yeah, I finished with two victories. Bumps me up to my all-time highest rating of 935. Still in seventh place, and I was feeling pretty good on this one. So that's where I ended it. Unfortunately, I didn't get the recording, but yeah, that's all I got. It was my update for tonight. Hope you enjoyed, and I will be back with some more duels where I actually have some audio.